So I want to talk about some shifts that I've made in my own basketball training content, my whole approach, and how that can help you as a basketball player to be able to make sure that you're focused on the right things. And if you're a coach or a trainer, to help you kind of give your players inside information and tailor what you do to help them as best you can as well. If you have no idea who I am, my name is Ethan Koza. My main channel is called Vision Driven Basketball. At the time of this, I have about 87,000 subscribers, somewhere in that range. Started Vision Driven Basketball back in 2019, so we're approaching almost 6 years of me having that channel. And I used to post and talk about everything: ball handling, finishing, athleticism, footwork. I had a bunch of workouts that I would post all the time. One of the most popular things that I made were the player workouts. So I pick a player, could be LeBron, could be Chris Paul, could be, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, could be Jason Tatum, and I would make a workout that was kind of tailored around what their game was like. Where basically I would take like 6 or 7 clips of them, and then I would create a drill based around that clip. And those were huge, and people love those. Players love those, and I still get requests for those almost every single day. But if you've noticed over the last 3 to 4 months, I've actually completely shifted my content and the things that I post and I talk about, and that's for a very specific reason. And I want to get into what that is today. If this is the first time that you've watched me on this channel, or if you've seen me before, but you want a refresher, this is like my second channel that I created because I wanted to be able to connect more with you guys and go on deeper dives into topics and talk about things that just don't really fit in on my other channel as much, right? Everything over there is a little bit shorter, well, sometimes, but usually a little bit shorter, usually a little bit more visual. We'll have like different film breakdowns, and things are more concise, things are more scripted, things are more edited. And on this channel, it's not that. Things are a little longer. I kind of just have a couple notes here and there, and I kind of just go. I don't really edit anything at all. And so you see all of the, the inside look at what goes on here. So if you watch my other channel and you're like, wow, he's incredible at speaking and he never messes up and all that, like, I actually do mess up a lot in those videos, and I edit out a lot, and I clip together pauses and different filler words and all that sort of stuff. So on this channel, it's a much more raw look at what it actually is like to create these videos. But today I want to talk about a really important point that I think is going to be it was transformative for me, and I think if you understand this as a player or as a coach, it's going to help you to get the most out of the time that you put into development. We all have the same amount of time in a day. We all have the same amount of time to get better, right? You might go to the gym and you have 2 hours to work out for a day. You have 7 days a week or 6 days a week or whatever. And for the most part, every other player out there is working with about the same amount of time. But at the end of the day, the max amount of time you have is 24 hours. So there is nobody who has a time advantage. So the important thing to ask is this the best way to get the most out of my time? And that was why I made such a big shift in my channel. Like I talked about, I used to talk about everything when it came to basketball development. And I would post workouts, and I talk about ball handling, and I would talk about finishing, and I would talk about athleticism and all that sort of stuff. Talk about nutrition, whatever. And over the last 3 4 months, I've pretty much shifted to completely talking about basketball IQ and shooting. Those have really been the two things that I've talked about ad nauseum, like the last. I think that's the right way of using that phrase, or the right way of pronouncing that phrase. But like I said, no editing, so I'm gonna leave that in there. I've talked about those two things, specifically basketball IQ, at pretty much every single video, and there's a reason for that. And I can kind of give it to you in what's called the Pareto principle, which is also known as the 80-20 rule, which just means that 80% of your results come from 20% of your inputs in every area of life. You look at everything that you do, all 100% of the work you put in, and when you really boil it down, 80% of your results from that work came from about 20% of the work that you actually did. And that other 80% was kind of negligible in some ways to getting the outcome that you got. This is important to understand for basketball players because, again, we want to maximize the time that you have and the attention that you have to focus on things. And that's why I made this shift. To me, what I've learned over years of working with players, I work with hundreds of players in person and thousands of players online and through my different programs. And I hear from players every single day through YouTube comments and Instagram DMs and just being around the players that I coach, with the AAU team that I'm with and my high school team and the players that I train outside of those things here. So I'm around a lot of players and I see a lot of commonalities. And for the most part, a lot of players are struggling with the same problems, right? They want to play with more confidence. They want to be more successful in games. They want to see the work that they put in translate to actual in-game success. And they want to find a way to get more, whether it be more, they want to score more points, they want to make more plays, they want to get more playing time, they want to get a bigger role, they want to make it to the next level, they want to get a scholarship. For the most part, players want the same things. And so what I've noticed is that there really is a small set of things you need to focus on in order to get the most output. So going back to the Pareto principle idea, I was focused on all this stuff when it came to basketball development. And then I realized that 20% of it is responsible for the majority of the success or lack of that you're going to have. And that 20% is basketball IQ and shooting. If you go all in on getting great in those two areas, that is going to be the best bang for your buck. When you have a higher basketball IQ, you make better decisions. You create more opportunities. You recognize more opportunities, and so the game feels easier. You're actually able to apply the things that you work on, and it matters more than anything else. And then when it comes to shooting, it's the most valuable skill in modern basketball. The game is about putting the ball in the basket, and so those two things right there account for about 80% of the success that you're going to see or not see. And so it's so important that that becomes the focus. And I wanted to go all in on that because while it's the most important thing, especially when it comes to basketball IQ, I feel like it's not prioritized that way on social media at all. You get on Instagram or you get on TikTok or you get on YouTube and you look at what is being talked about, what's being posted. It's try this ball handling workout, try this random shooting drill, do this to fix your form, try this finishing drill, look at this dribble move. And that's a lot of what the basketball training space is we have all these technical workouts and all the stuff that to me is very surface level. And I wanted to go deeper than that. A lot of those skills, a lot of the other skills aren't really going to matter for you. They're going to be negligible in terms of your outcomes if you don't have the necessary basketball IQ and the necessary shot making ability to be great on the court. You can have great ball handling. You can have the most insane skills when it comes to finishing and all these dribble combos and whatever. But if you don't have the basketball IQ to apply those things and you don't have the shooting ability to put the ball in the bucket when you recognize opportunities to do so, it doesn't matter at all. And applying that Pareto principle to what I was doing, I'm like, all right, I need to make a shift here. And I need to prioritize basketball IQ because there really isn't a lot of people who are doing this, who are putting the emphasis on it that I think it deserves. And I also know being around so many players, when they change the way that they think about the game, when they transform their understanding of what will make me successful in the court, how do I apply the things that I work on, they see way better results than the player who's maybe doing more than them, but isn't focusing on the right things. And for me, I wanted to go deeper on the things that matter most, which are basketball IQ and shooting. Now, what I've noticed personally is that this is the kind of the unsexy side of the game, right? People don't want to hear, okay, this is what you actually need. They want to be given quick fixes. And I get it because it's like that in every area of life. Everybody wants a quick fix. I want a quick fix with everything as well. But I've realized that there isn't that. You either know the game at a high level or you don't, and you either can shoot the ball and you can shoot the ball in a variety of circumstances consistently, or you can't. And it's way easier to say, okay, I'm going to post this NBA player workout that I know is going to do really, really well, and that I know people are going to be like, oh, this is so cool, I'm going to do this the next time I go outside. But then I ask myself, what does that player really want? Like, why are they doing that work? What is the outcome that they're looking for? And is that video going to actually help them achieve that thing? And I realized that it's not the way that focusing on basketball IQ and diving into the deep parts of understanding the game, building confidence, building true mental toughness, and then understanding how to actually develop yourself as a shooter. Like, that stuff is a lot more boring sounding. It's a lot more, it requires a lot more thinking as well, but that's the most important thing, and that's why I wanted to double down on it, despite the fact that there's probably easier ways to go about trying to, boost numbers on social media, boost numbers on YouTube, right? I want to get to 100,000 subscribers and get the silver play button. Like, I'll be the first to admit that. And I would probably get to it faster if I just kind of went with what's popular and I went with, the things that I know are going to get clicks and I know are going to get views. But I also started this channel back in 2019 with the main goal of helping players who were like me, players who were in different situations that, they felt like they work really hard at this. They put in more time than maybe everybody around them, and they still aren't seeing the success that they want, that they feel like they've earned, that they've deserved because of the amount of work they've put in. Because, like I was, a lot of players don't spend enough time on the right things. And when you really can double down and say, okay, this is the 20% of things that are going to account for the majority of my results, my responsibility is to look at those things and make that what I talk about and what I go into. And that's basketball IQ and shooting right there. And that's why it's become a focus of my videos, my content, and why it will be going forward. And so for me, I think the shift has helped a lot of players to be able to learn some of this stuff and recognize some of these things. When I really focus down and become the person who talks about basketball IQ and talks about developing your understanding of the game, I think it allows me to deliver more value to people because I can be the resource for that, where you can go to my channel and say, okay, I want to have a deeper understanding of the game. I want to learn things that are going to help me to perform better right now. I want to learn things that are going to help me to score more points right now, make more plays right now. I want to learn things that are going to help me to become more confident, decisive, and sure of myself on the court. That's what players want, and that's what I think going deep into that allows me to do, and that's kind of what I've been focused on. It allows me to deliver more value, more clarity, and more transformation overall for players. The players who go all in on basketball IQ, developing that to a high level, and developing their shooting to a high level, those are the players who are going to win at the end of the day. Those are the players who are going to see the most results, and they're going to make the fastest progress by cutting out all the other distractions, all the other noise, and saying, these two areas are going to be responsible for 80% of my outcomes. So that better mean that I'm spending almost all my time on doing those things right there. And that's what I want my entire channel to scream to everybody who watches. And so I've seen the concept of this. It's been apparent in my programs, the players who have been successful. It's been very apparent in the teams that I've been a part of, the players who have been successful there, and the kids that I train. Whether that be middle school, high school, college, like when you have those two things at a high level, everything becomes easier for you. And that's why I've had to double down on doing that. So if you're a player and your goal is like anything that I mentioned, right? You want to score more, you want to create more, you want to be more consistent when it comes to your production on the court, you want to get more opportunities, more playing time, bigger role, you want to earn an opportunity to play at the next level, get a scholarship, all that sort of stuff. Understand there is nothing that's going to impact that more for you than your basketball IQ and understanding of the game and your ability as a shot maker. Those two things are the most important thing. So much like my content kind of has shifted to going deep into those things right there, specifically basketball IQ, make sure that the way that you train, the way that you approach is prioritizing those two things above everything else. Nothing else matters more than your ability to be elite in both those areas. And that should be a freeing feeling for you because it simplifies it. And you don't have to deal with the paralysis by analysis of, oh, what should I be doing? What should I be focusing on? If you can say to yourself, okay, today I made sure that I checked both those boxes and I got better there, you're going to succeed long term, and you're going to see those results pay off in games way faster. And if you're a trainer, you're a coach, double down on helping them improve their IQ, helping them improve their shooting, and everything that they do is going to be more successful. And that's how you build players with true confidence and players who win games. And as a coach, as a trainer, you want players who are going to be successful and are going to bring value with them wherever they go. So I wanted to give a little bit of insight into that right there. This channel is a much different feel than my other channel. Like I said, I'm just kind of, letting it fly. And, when I mess up or I add in, maybe I go on a tangent, which who knows what this video is going to look like when I watch it back here. But I wanted to be able to give deep dives into things like this. Something's not going to fit on my other channel. So hopefully this gave you some insight and it gave you an idea of what my focus is and what your focus should be, again, if you want to get the most out of the time that you have. And that's what it really takes to separate yourself. It's just we all have the same amount of time. Do you make sure that you're maximizing it by focusing on the highest ROI things, the highest return on investment things? That's basketball IQ, that's shooting, and that's where my focus is going to continue to be. So appreciate you for watching. If you have any questions, like I said, I want this channel to be not just me talking, but answering questions and talking about things that you guys want to hear me talk about, maybe more in depth. You have any questions, anything like that, drop it down below. Would love to connect with you. Talk soon. Appreciate you for watching. Peace.